The next thing we'll look at are the buffered reports and unbuffered reports. The menu structure is the same. There are 30 buffered reports available to us and 18 unbuffered reports. The difference between the two is in the event of a loss of communications between the publisher and the subscriber, the publisher will store the information in a buffer until the communications have been reestablished. In an unbuffered report, the information is lost. Now, the buffer report will store up to 1,000 events, and they're stored in a circular buffer, which basically means it's first in, first out. Let's go ahead and look at the menu of the buffered report. The first field is the report ID. This is the name of the report, so it can be used by the client to identify this buffered report message from any other message. So let's go ahead and give it a name. The next field is the report control block name. So for a buffer report, the default is BRCB01, and for an unbuffered report, the default is UR-CB01. Next, we have our data set. The data set here is the same as it is with the Goose message. You can select any one of the types. You can either go with the TT6 data set, which is our fast data set, or the TT3 data set. The only difference is there will be a difference in the performance based on the data set you select. So as we select the data set, when you click away, it'll appear. So we can come in here, we can give the data set a name again. So we can call it something like, buffer report 1. We can come in here, we can select the signal. Let's pick a protection element, something like phase IOC or TRC. I'll grab a signal. Let's say perhaps I'm just interested in phase A. The next field here is the conf-rev. This is the configuration revision. Every time you make any changes inside the buffer report, this should be incremented to identify that there are changes. The next field we're looking at is the optional fields. Now what the optional fields allows us to do is to reduce the size of the message of the buffered report if we don't need all this information, so it'll reduce in size. Next, we'll take a look at the buffer time. Now, the buffer time specifies how long after an initial event to collect and append all possible additional events before sending the report. So this is a value that should never be 0. You should be waiting to gather some additional information. So there should be at least 50 milliseconds worth of delay in here so it can collect the appropriate information. The next field is the trigger operations. Under what conditions will this report be transmitted? So under what conditions? We have data change, quality change, integrity, general interrogation. And finally, the last field that we have here, the INTG PD specifies the interval for generating the integrity reports. So the integrity report includes the values of all the members of the reference data set, whether they've changed or not. In other words, even if no members change states or change in value, how often do we still want to send a report? So once again, this is not something you would leave at 0 milliseconds. This is something you would have with some type of a time delay, perhaps something as much as 6,000 milliseconds. And that completes the buffered report section. The unbuffered looks exactly the same. Let me open it. So you can see the same fields exist. The only thing that's different is the report control block name, which is a little bit different. It just has a U in front of it.